Queen Dido and Zhuge Liang have now had their skills almost officially released. They have the 1093 stamp of approval, which means they are almost 100% legit. These skills contain some crazy information about both commanders, and I'm going to be able to put it all together now without any translation errors or anything like that to give you a final verdict on who is going to be good for the field, and I'll be able to give you some proper pairings for both of the commanders. Alright, so I'm a bit later to making this video because it released at a weird time for me, but I do have all the leaks in my Discord server. Basically, what happened is they have leaked the whole entire skill set for each commander. Before, we just had the wording of each skill and it was translated pretty poorly, but now we have it in English with all the numbers, so we can put everything together and decide what's going to be good for Zhuge Liang, what's going to be bad, what's good about Queen Dido, what's bad about her, and we'll be able to decide if they're actually going to be good commanders. Switching over to the skills now. First, we're going to go over Zhuge Liang. He actually is absolutely insane with the stuff that he's doing. First off, you've got 2000 damage factor to 5 enemies, which is crazy. Okay, that's crazy. And then after that, in addition, all targets deal 15% less all damage, which is technically the best stat in the game in my opinion, for the next 3 seconds. So far this skill looks absolutely insane. First of all, he's got now the absolute most damage factor in the game by far. Plus he's got other skills which give him even more damage factor. He's like far and away the most damage in the game now, even more than Joan Prime, I reckon. And then he's also got a massive debuff, and this debuff's actually really, really good. Having a 15% all damage reduction on your opponents is crazy, and I definitely think that's going to be powerful. Then arch units led by this commander gain 30% increased health, which is basically Gilgamesh level health, so that's really nice. I'm surprised that they gave a commander this powerful health of all stats, but hey, that's definitely very good for us. Then archer damage bonus of 5%, which is not all damage, but that's normal attack and counter attack. And then whenever you are on the map, there's a 50% chance to negate an effect. So whenever the troop is inflicted with a control effect, whenever Zhuge Liang is on the map, he has a 50% chance to negate the effect and deal direct damage factor 500 to the attacking troop. This can trigger once every 5 seconds. So one thing to keep in mind here, if he shrugs off Artemisia's silence, he actually won't deal that damage factor to an attacking troop. It's only if they are the ones that put the effect on him. That's what I'm presuming with the wording of this skill. If this troop contains only archer units, which it should, you deal 20% more skill damage, which is crazy good for a commander with such high skill damage already. And then normal attacks on this commander have a 10% chance to increase the attack of their archer units by 50% for 3 seconds. So this is like a really good mix of YSG's second skill and fourth skill. So I'm really liking the increased skill damage, and the attack trigger is just like YSG's, it's just slightly lower. Fourth skill is also another really powerful skill. Whenever this commander uses an active skill, their troops gain the Marquis effect. This increases all damage dealt by 10% for 10 seconds. That's 10 seconds, alright? If it does not already have it, each troop, if you don't already have the skill, you get the Marquis effect. If you have the skill and you contain only archer units, whenever your commander uses an active skill, they will consume that effect and deal direct damage factor up to 3 enemy troops. Damage factor of 1,500. There is no reduction on this either. There is no reduction on this damage factor of 1,500 to 3 troops. That's crazy. That's 4,500 damage factor straight up. Plus his active skill, basically about I reckon 7,000-ish damage factor. Plus an extra 5,000 here. He's so far and away the most damage factor in the game now. Cyrus is not even close. In 3 turns, Zhuge Liang could do about 10,000 damage factor. This fourth skill is ridiculously powerful. I don't know what they were thinking when they gave him even more AoE, but I mean, I can't complain. He's going to be, actually right now, I think he's going to become the new best commander in Rise of Kingdoms. So, really, we have to stick around and see what happens though, and we'll see where this goes. Zhuge Liang's expertise. Upon entering battle, the commander's troops gain the Marquis effect, 10% increased all damage for 15 seconds. So, I really think that Zhuge Liang's expertise is really bloody good, purely because now you don't have to throw your skill cycle twice, you only need to throw it once. And once you throw it that one time, you can go into battle, go out of battle, and then go back in and get the effect again, and then do that extra damage factor again. So having this Marquis effect looping like that is going to be really, really good. So I think that this is going to be definitely worth the expertise. And then on top of that, Each time the burning of Xian, which is his active skill, or the Maraquisiong, which I think is his 4th skill, I'm butchering the Chinese, I can't speak Chinese, sorry guys, deals skill damage, this commander's troops immediately gain 30 rage. That's not too insane, but I mean, it's extra rage, so who could complain? It's definitely going to get you to your skill cycle that much faster. Now, before we go over pairs for Zhuge Liang, I'm going to quickly go over Queen Dido. Queen Dido is the garrison commander, and she doesn't have field AoE like everyone thought she did from the main skill releases the first time. Her first skill is 2000 direct damage factor, and if the target is rallied, this skill also reduces the skill damage of up to 5 enemy troops near this commander by 30% for 3 seconds. So basically, she's got Boudica's debuff but an area of effect, but only if you're hitting a rally. Otherwise, she's just got Boudica's damage factor, and that's about it. So this isn't the most impressive skill. It's great for swarming a rally though, or being in a garrison when you're getting hit by a rally and you can debuff people swarming you. That's some really good anti-swarm technology. It makes her a lot more tanky in my opinion. And then archer units led by this commander gain 20% increased defense. They deal 5% extra damage to infantry. And if the commander's troops only contain archers, they take 10% less normal attack. So this is on the field. I don't mind this skill for the field actually. It makes her a lot more tanky. She's looking like a very tanky commander. Possibly if you're swarming a rally, you could pair her with a Henry, just because of how tanky she is. Now, you get 20% attack, archer units only, and while garrisoned in a stronghold or city, normal attacks of this commander have a 5% chance to inflict the ambushed effect on the target's troops for 3 seconds, which prevents the target's troops from benefiting from effect triggered by being surrounded. Okay. Prevents the target troops from benefiting from effect triggered by being surrounded. This doesn't really make sense. I presume it's meaning like buffs from like Joan Prime and maybe Joan of Arc, and probably buffs from like themselves. I'm presuming it wipes off buffs. I don't think that this being surrounded actually benefits the enemy troop. Unless she's being surrounded. This is interesting. It doesn't really make sense, but I mean, it's a 20% chance, so. Then her 4th skill is another garrison skill. When garrisoned in a stronghold or city, archer units gain 20% increased health, which is really good, and can reduce incoming skill damage by 15% once every 10 seconds, sorry. That's really nice. That 4th skill makes her a bit more tanky. Definitely very garrison-oriented commander here. I don't think they're going to be very good on the field, but in the garrison, I think they're going to do very bloody good, especially against some infantry rallies. That's what I'm hoping, at least. And then with her expertise, archer units led by this commander gain 40% increased attack while garrisoned in a stronghold or city. The normal attacks of the commander's troops have a 30% chance to reduce the target's defense by 40%. So I'm presuming that that's the garrison only part. You get the 40% attack without being in a garrison. And inflict the ambushed effect for 3 seconds. So you'll be able to put that ambushed effect on them even more often. I'm presuming this is actually the same effect as the first one. They just added an extra debuff. That's what it looks like here. And they also, I think, they didn't reduce the cooldown of the ambush effect. And then obviously ambush prevents the targets from getting benefits from being surrounded, whatever that means. I don't know what that means yet. Now, Queen Dido is looking to be very, very good for not open field, but garrison. I think she's going to become a powerful commander. Whether or not she'll pair with Heraclius is something we'll have to see. I think she's going to be better with the AMANITORE though. Just purely because the AMANITORE has a lot more revenge damage and they synergize kind of well with their infantry all damage and stuff. But I'll go over that once we talk about Queen Dido's pairing. Now we know exactly what all the commanders will be doing. I'm going to quickly go over some pairs, especially for Zhuge Liang. So I don't think you should put Zhuge Liang with the BOUDICA, especially if you've expertise her, because his 50% chance to dispel silence effects means you have a 30% extra chance that's just being lost. So honestly, what I would do is I would split my Zhuge Liang and my BOUDICA, because even though he may not be dispelling silences all the time, he will still be benefiting quite often from that silence effect and dealing that damage factor. And then again, that damage factor is not that high, so it's not the end of the world if it doesn't trigger. If it was his AoE damage factor, I would say definitely put them together, but it's not. So I think BOUDICA is actually such a good commander with some other commanders like Artemisia. You should be splitting her from your Zhuge Liang and putting your Zhuge Liang with someone else. The other commander I recommend with Zhuge Liang is definitely Henry. We look here, Henry's got massive skill damage taken reduction, so he's very tanky. And I think Zhuge Liang is a bit more of a glass cannon in a way. And he doesn't have any health as well, so that's really nice having that with Zhuge Liang. The main thing Henry has is march speed off territory. 20% actually, which is insane. He outruns my BOUDICA, he outruns my Cyrus. He almost outruns my Nebu. He almost outruns my Nebu Cyrus. But he definitely does outrun a lot of commanders. And I think that march speed is very important. Plus, Zhuge Liang's got a bit of a rage engine, so I do like that with Henry. And also, Henry's a bit more of a tanky commander, as like I said. Henry's also got revenge damage, which Zhuge Liang doesn't have. So So a lot of things about Henry I think pair really well with Zhuge Liang. And then I'm going to probably max my Henry after Zhuge Liang. And you can see he gets even more tanky. So definitely worth doing Henry with Zhuge Liang in my opinion. Whether or not you should go in and invest in Henry now, I'm not sure. If you only have BOUDICA, then possibly you should still put him with Zhuge Liang. But the thing is, if you don't have BOUDICA yet and you want to get her, I still think she's going to be very good. But what I would do is I would only go for a 5-5-1 commander, because I don't think you need her expertise with Zhuge Liang anymore. The only thing she gains is 10% attack and counter attack. Sorry, normal attack, counter attack. But I don't think you need this 80% chance to dispel effects, because Zhuge Liang is 50% already. And having that 30% wasted, there's no point. Another commander I think that a lot of people are going to be trying with Zhuge Liang, and I think it's going to do pretty good. Nebuchadnezzar and Zhuge Liang. Nebu's got March speed, which I think is really good. So I don't think Nebu's actually going to die as soon as I thought he did. Nebu's got March speed and massive AoE as well. So that's the one thing I really do like about Nebu in this situation. His March speed with Zhuge Liang will probably make him one of the better commanders once again. Plus Zhuge Liang benefits from more skill damage on the opponents. And also Zhuge Liang can trigger that extra skill damage if you're using all archer troops. I also like Nebu's rage reduction, and the all damage here is going to make Zhuge Liang do even more damage. So I think Nebuchadnezzar and Zhuge Liang is actually going to be very powerful, and something I might try out a little bit at 5-5-1-1 for both of the commanders. But we'll have to see once I get in KVK whether or not I'm liking that combination. YSG with Zhuge Liang. This is why I'm saying Zhuge Liang isn't a first invest commander, purely because YSG with Zhuge Liang is probably the only archer combination you have available when you get Season of Conquest. And Zhuge Liang is like a better YSG, and if you put YSG with YSG, you're missing one thing and one thing mainly. That's March speed really bad. Zhuge Liang needs March speed, and he has none. YSG also has no March speed. So putting Zhuge Liang with YSG can be a bit tricky, but I think it may still be powerful purely because of how much damage it does. But the reason a lot of people like Nebu YSG is because of the March speed, and I think I'll be using Nebu YSG personally in my next KVK instead of Nebu Zhuge Liang or YSG Zhuge Liang. Queen Dido pairings for the field. I mean, if you're swarming a rally, it's probably just going to be a BOUDICA Queen Dido. I mean, I think that would do pretty good, purely because of the debuff. But then again, the debuff does kind of stack. So, I mean, this does actually override hers. And it can be a bit tricky there, but I mean, it's not that bad. Also Henry, because Henry gets more effects when you're attacking a garrison. So, probably, I think, best that you use Henry with Queen Dido, especially if you're attacking a rally. Even though this is only a garrison effect, but I mean, still, what can you say? Attacking with extra damage and stuff and being more tanky with Queen Dido is definitely worth it. Especially since people would probably try Swarm her out because her debuff is quite powerful. Could also try Tamiris, but I think that's a bit too glass cannon-y. Garrison, I think Artemisia is not going to happen at all. Artemisia's garrison skill, that's it. It's 10% normal attack reduction and 10% chance to disarm the target for 1 second. Artemisia's not a good garrison anymore. She was maybe in like 2016, but that's it. She's not good anymore, and I wouldn't invest in Artemisia for the garrison meta right now. AMANITORE with her, though, I think looks pretty promising. AMANITORE's got nice all damage bonus. She's got a lot of attack and some more damage to infantry, so you can see they're really trying to hammer in on the countering infantry here. The only thing about AMANITORE is she takes that damage from cavalry, which could be a bit bad if you're garrisoning. I also like the trigger chance to get rid of effects. This is also really nice, and I think that's going to pair well with Queen Dido's chance that I think it's removing effects and just they wrote it wrong. So I think that's going to be really good. And then I love AMANITORE's revenge damage. It's ridiculous how much revenge damage she does. And the silence immunity, I mean, now it's not as good because you're using her in a garrison, but the rage reduction is still very good, and I think that's going to pair quite well with Queen Dido. Now we know that Zhuge Liang and Queen Dido will be some of the most powerful commanders in the game, especially Zhuge Liang. So I hope I did bring you some value in this video. I hope that you learned something new. I hope that now you know some pairings to put with Zhuge Liang, because he's going to be such a powerful commander that a lot of players should consider investing in him. Now, if you're interested in more content like this, please join my Discord. My Discord is where I pretty much get all the information to make these videos. So if you are interested in that, the link will be in the description and in the pinned comment. I thank you for watching, and I do hope to see you in the next one.